Hey there, Yogi, and welcome to our first practice together. If you watched the How to Sit video, then you know why I'm sitting on a bolster and a blanket, and if you haven't, then please make sure that you watch that video before starting this practice. We are going to be seated the entire time. You want support for your body, and it's super, super important that you get it right so that your feet don't start falling asleep or your hips don't hurt tomorrow and we don't have any knee things. Like, we don't need that at the beginning, right? Let's just get through the beginning. So when you have your seat, what you'll want to do is grab your handy hands and bring them underneath your seat and remove the flesh from your bum just enough so that you have comfortable support of your sits bones on your seat. Now, your sits bones, again, are the top of your femur bones, and you're going to hear me talk about them a lot. So just take a moment to kind of wiggle around, to feel them connected to your seat. If you're using a chair, just being mindful that you probably want a little bit of flesh underneath your sits bones so that you're not like pressing into the chair too much. And take a moment, right? You can close your eyes, and I want you to start to ask yourself, is there anything else I can do to feel more supported in this shape? Is there anything else I can do to provide more support or comfort for my hips or knees, or general position in this shape? And as we're going into this question, right, it's so important to know that in the 8 limbs of yoga, one of the limbs, right, one of the things we'll be studying and exploring is this internal awareness. And I'm really quick to bring you right there, but really the sooner we can, kind of get inside and start to ask these questions, the quicker we start to build this muscle. So just like a physical muscle in your body, the practice of internal awareness is really, really important and actually essential for your yoga practice. So let's go inward and just ask yourself, right, is there anything that I can do to provide more comfort or support for my body? Is there anything else I can do? You might find that your seat is a little too high, and if so, you can adjust. You might find that your seat is a little too low, and if so, adjust. In one of the videos, I mentioned the 3 little bears, right? I mentioned Goldilocks and the 3 bears, right? So we're not looking for too soft, and we're not looking for too hard, right? We're not looking for too high, and we're not looking for too low. We're looking for that just right? That perfect porridge, right? The perfect temperature, the right seat height, right? That is going to support your body during this practice. And so once you're sure you've got it, right, you're ready to give it a try, we'll begin with this internal gazing and just take a moment to check in with your body. You might start to bring attention to your breath. And you might notice that your body is breathing. You might notice that you have some thoughts running through your mind. Just kind of be present to that, knowing that this is all just, this beginning awareness is all just part of the practice. And so without trying or making too much of an effort, we're going to start to bring awareness now to the breath. So I mentioned one of the limbs of yoga is this internal gazing. Another limb of yoga is breath. Modified breath, paying attention to the breath. And so just coming into awareness about the breath. Are your breaths big and full? Are they short? Are they quick? Are they satisfying? Are they leaving you feeling like you're ready for the next breath? What, if you could describe it, how would you describe your breath? How would you describe it right now? And please know that as we're coming up with descriptions, it's not meant to be a judgment. It's not, I'm doing this wrong, right? There is no wrong here. It's just where you're at, right? And so we're checking in with where you're at, checking in with breath to figure out where your breath's at, right? How it's vibing today. And if you can start to bring a little deepening to the breath. So maybe just becoming aware of where that deepening is happening. Breathing into it and also letting it go. And now we'll start to come into an intention. So you hear me talk about this more and more in the series, but at the beginning of every class, take a moment to set the heart and the mind, kind of bring some resonance here on a feeling or a sensation or a favorite quote or just something you're working on today. And so you bring that intention into your heart and really give yourself a chance to feel it. You set this intention so that the heart and the mind are in this place so that as we may veer off or get distracted during practice, or we have something to anchor you back in, anchoring yourself back in here, anchoring into an intention. And once you have that, we'll begin our practice with a letting go breath. And so letting go breath, I'll demonstrate it for you. There's a big ha sound on the exhale. It's just a way to reset the nervous system and kind of begin the practice. So let's offer a nice big breath in and exhale. Ha. And the letting go breath is not just a sound that we make. There's a lot of science behind it. So if it's right for you and it's feeling right for you, and if you'd like to join me, you can. We'll do one more nice big breath in. And exhale, make that ha sound. Ha. Awesome. And so with that intention in our hearts and the ha breath, we're going to bring our hands now and crawl them up along your sides. And if they can touch the floor, you can bring them to the floor. Let's flip palms up to the sky. And then on your inhale, sweep your hands up to the sky. And exhale, bring them back down. And so I gave you a lot of instructions there. So I'm going to break this down again. First, we're lifting arms up to the sky. Not worried about anything else. And then hands back down to the earth in a slow pace. Palms flip and your arms reach up to the sky. Palms flip again and palms descend down to the earth. Now, if this is enough coordination for you, sometimes it can feel like patting your head and trying to rub your belly at the same time, then just remain here with the arms, nice and slow, flipping the palms, reaching up high, turning again, and coming back down to the earth. And if you can, add the breath, right? There's going to be lots of layers to this practice. If you can layer in something else, if you'd like to layer in something else, then you can layer in the breath. On an inhale, we lift up. On an exhale, we draw back down. Let's try that 3 more times. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Let's offer one more here. Inhale up. And exhale down. Great. And then bring your hands onto your thighs, close your eyes, and just take a moment to notice and check in and become aware of, again, any feelings and sensations in your body. We'll do a lot of checking in this practice, so don't feel like you need to have all the answers or some, you know, profound experience because you closed your eyes and you just did a few sun breaths. But what we want here is to just, again, get in the habit and the practice of checking in after we do something, so we have some awareness of what's happening inside, so we start to build that experience. So just checking in with your body and feeling your breath, feeling your heart. Your shoulders might feel a little warm. Your thoughts might be a little steadier. Your thoughts might be, when are we going to move on? All of that is perfectly okay. So next we're going to move into the 6 movements of the spine, which is what I promised you as this video. Now the 6 movements of the spine include moving the spine to the side, twisting the spine side to side, and then the rounding and the lifting of the spine. So those are 3 different movements, and you have 2 sides of the body, so you can do the math and figure out that's 6 different movements. So we're going to do those 6 different movements of the spine. If you are on a bolster or a really high elevated spot and you'd like to come down, now's a great time to do that. I'm going to come back down into my double blanket support, and you'll want to have blocks handy for this. Perfect. So often what happens in class is that over time, the muscles start to relax and the body might need to adjust. And I'm again going to invite you to always be open to having the conversation with your body so that you're getting the right level of support that you need, knowing that sometimes, again, right, we don't want it too hard or too soft. We don't want it too elevated or too low, right? We want to find that sweet spot and know that it's always going to be kind of a moving target, which is why we practice that internal awareness. So, grabbing your blocks, you're going to want to have them along your sides here and just have them available and ready. And we're going to begin with hands on the knees. But first, I want you to take a moment to notice your seat. If you've adjusted at all, or maybe you haven't adjusted and you need to, just kind of wiggle around, move the flesh out from underneath your sits bones and find a really comfortable, supported place where you can sit and just become aware of, what's going on in your body. And once you've got that, we're going to start to move side to side. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of options here, and I want you to know that these aren't just options for this video and this one practice, but options that sometimes I'm not always going to mention in all of the different ways in which we are moving. So I want to make sure that you put it in your toolkit and that you really practice it and find what's going to be right for you, and just know that it's always available, right? There is no need to follow me exactly. We all have different bodies. We're all in different places, right? Different times. So you want to be able to adapt and adjust as you need to. So we're going to come side to side first. So I'm going to start with my left hand on the block, and I'm going to kind of tent my fingers because I don't want to start leaning quite yet. I have this tendency to just go right into it. So I'm going to keep my body supported. My spine is nice and tall, hand is on a block, and I am elevated nice and strong and ready for this next shape. So we're going to start with right hand. You're going to bring it along your right side, so maybe even right on the earth. And we're slowly going to imagine that there is a zipper up your right side. And we're going to zip up maybe to the armpit. And you can kind of make a fist here if you want. And then we're going to slowly start to lean over to the left so that the right side can then and you'll see me, right? I'm kind of just leaning at this point. Now I'm going to zipper up my ribs, opening up the ribs. You can see I added this big stretch on the side. So I like to start here, right? Hand can be on your shoulder if that's more comfortable. And just rest here for a moment and kind of feel this lift up and open in the side. Perfect. You offer yourself just a breath or two here. And then come back to center and release the zipper and bring the other hand down to the earth. And then we'll switch sides. So now right hand comes onto a block, and then left hand can zipper up the side, maybe touching, holding onto the shoulder, and then you lift up, lift open through the ribs, and then allow them to expand a bit. And again, we're not trying to get this perfect. We're just beginning this sensation. So feel into that and let's just breathe into the ribs. One more breath in here. And then slowly come up to a seat and release the zipper. Hands come along the sides. Let's do a sun breath. So reaching hands up high. Big breath in and then exhale. Back down to the earth. Kind of just clears it all out. There's a lot of ways we do that in yoga that we don't tell you about. So I'll give you that up front. We're clearing out the space so that we can kind of, it's like erasing a chalkboard so we can start over again. So now we're going to come to the other side again, the first side, with your left hand on a block. And this time we'll zipper up the side, hand on the shoulder to start, lean our way over. If you want, you can kind of crawl your hands a little farther away, just as long as you can still press hand into the ground or press hand into the block, and then lift up through that side. Lift up. You can see me leaning back over towards center so I can expand my ribs. And then if you'd like, you can reach the hand up high. I like to start with my hand on the shoulder just so I'm not like stretching through the side. Right? I want to come up through the ribs, through the side of the body, and then maybe reaching the hand. And maybe even turning up to look at the hand. And this shape shows up a lot in our practice. So it's super, super important, right, that we build this foundation now, right, that we start to have this awareness of what's happening. Let's do one more breath in. Notice where you feel it, right? Notice what's happening, right? It's these side ribs expanding, right? Not up here, not up here, but the side ribs lifting up and open, stretching, and then come back to center. Bring hands down to the earth. And let's offer a breath in. Maybe lifting arms, that sun breath, and exhale out. Perfect. Let's come to the other side. So again, maybe you want to crawl your hands out a little bit farther. And let's zipper up the side of the left side and start to lean. And then maybe, again, expand the ribs back. Right? Get nice and big in the side body. And if you'd like, at this point, maybe extending the arm, you can also just bend the elbow. That can feel really, really nice. I'll do a separate video all on arm postures. You're going to be amazed. There's so many ways to hold your arms. But you really want to feel what feels good for you, right? What is speaking to you. Maybe it's stretching up and over. Maybe that's too much sensation. It feels kind of like a lot for me right now. So I'm going to keep my elbow bent and keep it all in the side ribs, Don't worry too much if you're not totally sure where you are. It's okay. We're just getting started. We got so much fun ahead of us. Maybe turning your gaze up to your hand. Hello, hand. Last breath in. And then come back to center. Let's do a sun breath. Perfect. So those are the first two movements of the spine. Next, we're going to twist. So you're going to want a block behind you. And I would take both blocks and just have them available kind of at a 45-degree angle from your sits bones. You can kind of see them flaring behind me. Keep them close. You can always slide them a little farther away if you'd like. So we're going to practice with beginning inhale, lifting up the hands, and then slowly twisting, twisting, twisting to a side. Inhale, reach up again, and then twist to the other side. Another fun fact about me as we continue to breathe in and twist. A fun fact about me is that I always start on the right side, almost always. That's a habit. It also makes it easier, right? As a yoga teacher, to remember, wait, if I've done this before, then the next one is left, right? Um, we have two sides, thankfully, not more. I don't know how to teach yoga to more sides than two. Two feels like a lot. So just becoming aware that if you're ever not sure, just assume the right is the first one if we're just starting. And so the next time you land on your right side, we're going to pause here. So your left hand is going to be on the flesh, maybe just above your knee, or maybe kind of capping the knee a bit, but I like it more on the flesh. And then the right hand, right, is going to come right onto your block behind you. And again, you can kind of scooch it, scooch it, scooch it to where you'd like it to be. Spine is nice and tall, and we're just twisting a bit over to the side, not too much. This is just a beginning point. I do not force, right? So often, I mean, it's beautiful, but like us yoga teachers have this habit of just giving you this beautiful expression of a shape, and you're like, look over your back shoulder at the wall right behind you. But like that takes a lot of time, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're just twisting a little bit to open up the shoulders and the heart. Yeah. And we'll do one more breath in here. And then slowly come back to center. Maybe offer a sun breath. Breathe in and out. And then slowly walk to the other side. So bringing your hand right now, right hand on the flesh of the left knee. Left hand is on the block behind you. Know that like you can have your block at a tall height, a medium height, a flat height. You can have no block at all. What we want is to keep the spine elevated, right? So you want to make sure that as you're twisting, you're doing so from a place of support, which might mean a different block height on different sides. So inhale, lifting up through the crown of the head. Exhale, twisting a bit. Again, just letting this be a natural twist to one side. If you can add a layer, right, I'll always offer adding a layer. If you can add a layer, you can come into awareness of your breath. Notice your body breathing. And when you're ready, come back through center, sweep your hands up to the sky, and drop them back down to the earth. Ha! So that was two more movements of the spine, which means we're up to four now. And we'll do our last two movements of the spine, which also happen to be my favorite. Usually I start with these, but I kind of wanted to save it for the end just for the fun. So let's bring our hands onto our knees and again, walk your sits bones back. You want space now kind of between the hips and the knees because we're going to be moving forward and back. So, grabbing like a nice little grip in the earth, pressing down, lifting up, and then you can slowly inhale, heart forward, and exhale, round it back. Inhale, heart forward, exhale, round it back. Yeah. Let's inhale forward and exhale around the back. Now, again, habits can be so hard sometimes. So if you're not able to follow the breath yet, don't mind me. Ignore that I keep talking about inhales and exhales. Just do you, right? Just be where you're at. We're just moving forward, opening up the heart and rounding back. And you're going to keep going with this. I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see me from the side so that we can just get a good expression of this shape. So we're rounding back and coming forward. So you almost did it again. I almost said the breath. Can't help it. I really do like vinyasa, and we'll talk more about what that means. But it's basically just movement with breath. I love linking breath with movement. To me, for somebody with a busy mind, oh man, it's just so nice. And so from here, I'm gonna add one special thing, another flavor if you'd like. So we're moving forward and back. If you want, you can roll to the side as you come forward and roll to the side as you come back. Doesn't matter which side, because we'll do both. Just stirring the body around, enjoying the movement forward and back, opening up the body, letting the spine be a little, uh, mobile, like a spiral of the body. And then let's do the other direction. Ooh, sometimes this, especially in the morning, I hear it's like fireworks. There's a lot of pops and crackles happening inside my body. And some days not at all, but especially in the drier times of year, like winter, fall, a lot of pops and crackles. Very exciting in there. All right, so finishing up and then slowly coming back to center. And let's close eyes here and check in, notice the body, notice the mind. See what you notice, see what is kind of coming up for you. Might feel a little warm in your body. Your spine might feel a little tall. You might feel a little sensation starting in the back, sensation happening in the ribs, sensation happening in the breath. Maybe you're just like a little lighter and easier and feeling kind of good. And so that was the 6 movements of the spine. This is something that we'll bring into a lot of our classes together. So it's nice to have a great foundation now that we know how we're sitting and how to move the spine. Next, we're going to talk about engaging the core. And really, this is to protect the low back and really prevent injury. And we're just going to do it in, again, in a seated supported position and probably in tabletop and maybe a drop knee plank. So nothing too serious. But I do want you to start to feel the core. And there's some different exercises that we can do to really enhance that awareness of core, which is going to be super, super important for you in your practice. So that's a must watch. And all of these classes, I hope, are short enough that you're able to experience it and informational enough that you can always reference back to it if you want as we go through the series and as you have questions or kind of want to learn again about what we're doing. So thank you so much for practicing with me, dear yogi, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Namaste.